Hello, MGTOW. Hello, man. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I just wanted to come on here and talk about a few things. I have a need to talk about a few things. You know, I'm in these various groups with people, usually dealing with addiction problems. And, I try to help. I try to bring the Howard Dare skill set to bear in order to apply it to, helping people, right? It stands to reason. No, it doesn't work. No, they're pretty locked in on their behavior, if you know what I mean. Uh, so I don't really get to speak, is what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Like I've got a few things I want to say, and no, they're just not having it. Uh, yeah, it's I think just last Friday, right? I'm sitting in a group, right? There's about 20 people in there, and there's this really big, overweight guy. He's got to be like close to 500 pounds, and it's sad. It's a serious medical condition. Like he has to have some operations and stuff like that. Uh, and he's screaming out, "Let's watch a movie about making pizzas." Okay, this is what he's screaming. Now, hey, thanks for stopping by. AP 530, how's it going, bro? Am I in a bathroom? No, I'm not. But I would guess that my audio is just completely screwed, is what you're saying. No, I'm just in a basic room. You'd be, well, audio is pretty bad. Like, unless you have the right equipment, it's pretty bad. So the fat guy in the group is screaming out, "Let's watch a movie about making pizzas." Okay? Turns out that I am a bit of a pizza expert. Okay? I don't eat them very much anymore, but I know a lot about them. I've studied it, I've worked with it. No, I haven't had a job as a pizza iola. I've read books, I've done all my own experiments, right? So I turned and I said to the guy, "Hey, man, I know how to make pizzas." But before I can finish my sentence, he's still screaming, "A movie about making pizzas." So all he's doing is just ranting, right? He's just expressing this emotional drive within him that he needs to get out. And anything that's going to be said while he's in this, mode of getting out his compulsions, he wants pizza movie. Um, yes, pizza is delicious. Uh, he's shutting it down, right? So I could have even come to him and said, "Hey, man, here's a free pizza, freshly made. And he still would have been screaming about whatever emotional tirade he was going through. And it could have even been that he just wanted to be the one talking. Homemade pizza is not too bad. Yeah, it's all about the dough, right? Now, here's the thing. A New York pizza needs an oven of about 700 degrees. And this is not just an oven of 700 degrees. This is a surface that the pizza dough is going to be laid on that's about 700 degrees. This is like quenching steel, right? To get a bond between, the various aspects of the steel. So the temperature, and this has to do with the amount of water content within the pizza dough itself. Okay? Now, your pure Italian margherita pizza, it wants an oven temperature of about 900 degrees. And again, it's not just the oven temperature, it's the surface that the pizza's laying on. And, you're also considering the moisture content of the dough, right? So you're wanting this higher moisture content within the dough, like up at around 60%. And when it hits that 900-degree oven, it steams up like crazy. And that's what causes a lot of the puffiness within the dough. But the home oven, even with a pizza stone, is only going up to about 550. That's it. So it's a totally different, situation. So the moisture ratio has to change, the cooking times have to change, the amount that it's going to fluff up is going to change, how firm it's going to be down on the bottom is going to change, whether or not there's actual flavor within the pizza dough, is a question of how did you let that dough rise up. Now I'm usually doing a 3-day rise. Okay. Michael Corleone can take a bite out of a 900-degree pizza. Exactly, right? Uh, did you know that a plain pizza in Italy is just dough and tomato sauce? No cheese. That's a plain pizza for them. So, yeah, the guy just wasn't, he didn't really want to talk about pizzas. He just wanted to scream, right? The word pizzas, triggered him, and he was just off to the races. Now, the reason why that's how he got made Godfather. Yeah, essentially, the would-be Godfathers are hanging around, at a pizza place, and they get tested on their ability to eat pizza. And, those who can take the hottest pizza and the most of it, well, that's your Godfather, right? Hey, good work. This is how you advance within a hierarchy. Okay, this is actually not too far from what I want to talk about, because what I'm really talking about is the division within MGTOW. And it's not even really within MGTOW. It is MGTOW exists, okay? And then there's a whole group of other men who want to glom on to MGTOW and then to tear it down to their own purposes, right? Like the guy, how's my audio? AP530, give me some feedback. Is my audio totally echoing, or does it just sound like I'm in a room that doesn't have good soundproofing? Because that's all that's going on. I'm just in a regular room facing a bunch of hard plastic and hard wall surfaces. Yeah, it's been hard for me, bro. It really has. Having gone from, having the equipment I need to do good, podcasts and good live streams and good videos, to basically building a lot of my stuff just on little handheld, government tablets that are essentially designed for women and children. Anyway, it really does go to the line of Kipling's if you can bear to see your life's work broken down into nothing and then rebuild it, with broken tools. So that's what I'm doing, right? I'm rebuilding MGTOW, or at least my aspect of MGTOW, with broken tools. You can hear me fine. Thank you for the feedback, bro. I appreciate it. So, yeah, there's this division within MGTOW. Or rather, as I said, MGTOW is MGTOW. But then there's a group of men who want to, attach themselves to MGTOW and then use MGTOW for their own purposes. And once an idea starts to catch on and to become popular, you've got to expect some degradation, of the whole thing. I don't know, like a rock band who, really has a hard following of loyal fans. And then they start to become a little bit more popular and a little bit more famous. And maybe they put a pop song, or something more like a pop song onto one of their albums. And the new people who came in are all like, you're selling out and shit like that. The point is, just as I was making with, the 500-pound man who wanted to watch a movie about making pizzas, people create drama for their own purposes. So let's say that we're having, a fairly deep psychological, cultural discussion about MGTOW, okay? And somebody comes in and they're just pissed off. You know what I mean? They just want to sound off on how their mother is treating them, or whatever, their experiences with the women, with the women. And it takes that other discussion, okay, about some of the cultural influences that men are dealing with, some of the ways to get through it, and drags it down to this 500-pound guy who wants to watch a movie about making pizzas. And even if you give him the pizza, he's not going to see it. He's not going to hear it, right? Now, you recognize this behavior from the women. You recognize this behavior from the weak men. Let's say you're on a job site and you've got a job to do, and everybody's got some skills and everybody's got to work hard. But you've got a few people on the team and they don't know shit, but they want to be big shots. So they start acting up They start saying shit like, well, where's the cold water? You can't expect a man to work without cold water. They start creating every kind of side diversion. Okay? No, my shoelaces are broken. Where can I get some new shoelaces? You can even see this in jail, right? The new guys come in and they're all like, I need this and I need that. And, oh, I need to change my shirt. I got blood on it. And they're walking around going up to the guards like the guards are their mothers. And they're whining and they're crying and they're complaining. Hey, let me give it to you straight, okay? I got nothing to complain about. Everything's fine. No problems. It's all good, right? Just stepping it up a little bit, trying to get a little bit more done, trying to be a little more effective in what I do, trying to not get distracted by meaningless bullshit. So my first practical tip, hey, Terminator, T800. Oh, we've got AP530 and Terminator, T800. Thank you guys for stopping by, right? I guess, since you guys have the machine names, I guess I'm starting to appeal more to the whole artificial intelligence and machine aspect of MGTOW. Machines going their own way. Shit, that's not too far off, is it? A good man is like a machine, and you want to keep him, and you want to keep yourself in good working order. One of the first tips I would give you in dealing with drama queens is don't feed the fire. Don't buy into this bullshit. Oh, we need fresh water to do the job. It's like, no, you don't. Go do your job or get fired. That's all, right? And any other attitude, okay? So here we are making MGTOW content because we're making it because it's a gynocentric world that's been feminized. The young men are brought up as women, and their problem in society is that they're broken, faulty women. So the more feminine they think that they can become, the more hysterical, the more emotional, the more subjective that they can become, they think that they're like fitting in. And to a degree, they are. But they're not fitting in with men. And they're certainly not fitting in to MGTOW. Right? I remember this is from a long time ago. Just the guy who put on the cheerleader's outfit and a wig and put on a MGTOW like sweatshirt, right? Like thinking that, you see what I'm saying about using MGTOW for their own purposes, okay? Now, for me, MGTOW is sacred. It really is. It is the fundamental basic aspect of freedom itself, okay? If you're being exploited, if you're not in a fair exchange with a situation, go your own way. If they're cheating you at the job, go your own way. If the women that are available to you are just hypergamous, misandric land whales, basically like old French hookers that smell like cheap perfume, and you're supposed to like be jumping through hoops to get together with them. That's the situation that the men have been put into. And it's like, no, Howard, there's a bunch of beautiful young women out there. I see them in advertisements and in media all the time. And it's like, that's right. That's exactly where you see them. Right? You don't even see them in real life. Like if you meet up with that girl outside of, that media shot, she doesn't look anything like what she looks like when you see her. These creatures are like, there's never been anything like this, I made a recent video, are modern women the most entitled creatures to have ever existed? And the answer is yes, they surely are. And you're thinking, well, what about princesses and queens from previous times? It's like bullshit. They didn't have indoor plumbing. They didn't have social media. They didn't have dating apps where one girl can put on her best makeup and show her tits and basically attract the attention of 10,000 men from, the entire state, right? And now 10,000 of them are like sending her messages. It's like, I'll take you out to some expensive restaurant. And she's like weighing the options, what I mean? Which one's the most expensive? Which one seems like he has the most money? Out of the ones that have money, which ones will give it to me? And then she'll be nice. And, the young men are thinking like, well, That's all I want. That's all I want. And I understand, like I felt largely the same way. AP 530 says Princess Incest, awesome album title. Yeah, that is. Hey Garrett, thanks for stopping by, bro. Always great to see you. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. There's a Hulu show, the, the hidden life, the hidden life of Mormon wives, right? How's that? You know, that'll attract some attention, won't it? You know, because of the polygamy aspect of the whole thing, right? Like how are they sorting that one out? So many of the men watching this. Okay, so here's the show. No, I've never seen it, right? But what you're going to do is you're going to take two women. Okay, one of them, they both look good, but one of them is younger and looks a little better. Okay, but we're going to make her a little stupid. We want her to slur some of her words and to like drop things and to break things and like not be good, and like burn the food and shit like that. But she's better looking. And then the older one, who's like running the household, in charge of everything. And she looks good. And now and the guy will just be portrayed as just some patriarchal, misogynistic, tradcon, terrible human being, right? And he'll pick which of the two women he's going to have sex with, and that's it, right? That could be the whole show. So there's your male audience, yeah, and there's your female audience as well, right? Yeah. Now this reveals a dark truth that I'm really not even allowed to talk about. Essentially, that this horrible masculine behavior will actually garner more attention from the women. Like if he's a nice guy who just does, the best he can, it's like, this is boring as hell. I'm not even going to watch it. Excuse me, one sec. So for a long time, the main message of MGTOW has been undercut, diluted by feminized, emotional, hyper-emotional men that are addicted to drama. You've got to know that we can become addicted to almost anything. We, especially myself, right, addicted to talking. That's right. I'm a talkaholic. I suffer from talkaholism. Yeah, you're thinking, oh, it's just silly, you're making a joke. No, there are people who when they see somebody they know or something that interests them, they must speak. They say, hey, how's it going? What's going on, man? How you doing? Good to see you. Okay, and they get their feedback. Yeah, man, good to see you. Not much going on, the usual. How you been doing, right? Good to see you too. Okay, that's a dopamine hit right there. That's dopamine. They say, okay, man, talk to you later. They walk on, and they go to the next person, and they do the same exchange, very similar exchange. And boom, there's your dopamine. So they're addicted. Now, what about if they don't have anything to talk about, right? So you've got people addicted to talking, and they got nothing to talk about. The weather? No, nobody really cares. Politics? You're just going to get people triggered and upset and shit like that. Religion? No, you can't do that. It's just not the appropriate kind of situation for it. Some sort of serious complaint, like, oh, my life is going down the tubes. No, that's not going to work. That's depressing, right? So gossip. They find fault with other people. They talk about other people. This is the level, right? So rather than talking about ideas, rather than talking about plans, rather than talking about the future, rather than talking about even fixing an actual problem, they wish to create false problems. And then they don't even want to fix those problems. They want to hold on to those problems and just beat away at those problems. I was doing what I consider to be my serious retail content back there in 2018 up to 2019. And then boom, I'm away. I'm gone for like 3 or 4 years. Jail. And I come back. And a lot of the people are doing the exact same stuff. No change, no growth. That's an interesting kind of situation that happens to us too. We don't change. We don't grow. We don't want to. We want to be stable. And then things get bad, like it's not working. We still don't want to change. And things get really bad. And eventually we become forced to change. That's usually, how it happens. Now, a man could be defiant unto death. Let me bring up a subject here. It's a little touchy. Is being a nice guy killing you? Okay, you don't need to be that nice. It's you be cool, right? Like there's nothing wrong with being nice. I'm not saying that, but none of this bending over backwards shit for people that are full of shit. That'll kill you. It'll tear your soul apart. It'll break your spirit. Okay, I've met too many guys who were trying too hard to curry favor with people who didn't care about them. And it was not appropriate. We are not dogs, okay? We're not coming into a situation trying to get somebody to fucking pet us. We're not rolling over on our back and opening up our legs and wagging our tail. Men are not dogs. But if you exist in this emotional state of, communicating emotional peak experience, unable to control the compulsions, addicted to drama. Like whenever things aren't, like if we're going to talk about football, you're fine. And I don't mean you, but if we start to talk about chess, you're like causing trouble, causing distractions. Well, what about fresh water? It's a tactic. It's a tactic for a weak, distracted mind. Now, you, as a MGTOW man, and I'm not trying to say you personally, right? Your commitment is deeper than that. You don't need to get dragged in to this kind of bullshit. Someone said this, someone said that. You know what I mean? I'm here to create content for a majority of men that can help them through what I believe to be some very difficult, unfair situations, not of their own doing. I'm not here to have an argument with somebody, with some other MGTOW. I'm not here to get into some, little minute detail about stuff. Okay, there's men out there who have done what was right, who are good men, who have the tools that we need to build a better future, and they're being destroyed. And we've got men that are essentially women in men's bodies. They're just controlled by their feelings, and their metabolism is completely out of whack, and they don't have any strength, or I guess you could outright say the testosterone is very low. So there's this very dependent, complaining attitude. That's why I say I really have no complaints. I used to wake up in the morning. This is before when I was eating too much processed food, too many carbs. And I'd get up and I'd say, okay, let's have a good day. This is going to be good. I feel okay. And then within seconds, my mind would become plagued with all of my problems. It's like, I've got to deal with this problem. I got to deal with that problem. I got to get this done by this time. So-and-so said they would do this. They didn't do it. Now I got to get stuck getting blamed for that. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So 100 problems kicking in on my mind within seconds of waking up. But then I stopped eating as much processed food, sticking, to the natural food, the meat, the eggs, a little bit of fruit, a little bit of vegetables, nuts, natural food, not the chemicals. And cutting down on the carbs, very little soda, very little sweet snacks or anything like that. And sure enough, I start waking up in the morning and my mind does not go haywire. I don't become overwhelmed with 30 or 40 problems, that I've got plaguing me. So I highly recommend that. As a man, stop eating the processed food. It's not meant for us. It's really not. It's better than starving and going hungry and dying, from starvation. It's better than that. But it's all about obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, becoming a slave to the pharmaceutical industry, and becoming weak and ineffective in life. I want to see you guys at your best, right? I want the men to be at their best. Now, this gets into the idea that even the idea of masculinity has been dragged into the mud. So, here's a perfectly healthy young man doing all the right things with masculine ambition. Yeah, sure, he's probably a trad-con. Yeah, sure, he probably wants to build a family. This is the way of human beings. And he's getting torn to pieces. He's getting mocked. He's being belittled. He's being torn down. And the feminine man, the boy who goes along, who talks about his feelings and his emotions, who lives in his feelings and emotions, who indulges the female drama and talks about the female subjects and topics. Like, for example, the P. Diddy trial is really moving along. Right? Like, who the hell cares? Why would a man care about that? Right? Now, a young man might care about that just for the salacious details of it. But no, I've got to get to the construction site. P. Diddy is a very different world. But here's an interesting take on all of that. Okay, what if, like with the Epstein situation, they've got tons of videotape of famous, powerful people, interacting in these types of illicit activities, right? Maybe they're covering it up. In other words, this is now going to be the trial about P. Diddy and Rico. Okay, whether or not this guy, scumbag, breaks the law, it's a criminal organization, boom, he's in trouble. But what about the hundreds of hours of videotapes of people, famous people that we know in Hollywood that are hanging out at his parties? They're just going to brush all that under the rug. So the trial itself is, might well be a cover-up. Interesting. Don't let the subjectivized, feminized men who are triggered by MGTOW tear MGTOW into the gutter, into the dirt, to confuse the issue, to cloud the issue with drama, with unnecessary drama. We could also talk about the hidden agenda of the political mind. When people say they want to do this or they want to do that, they usually don't really care about this or that. They usually have some hidden agenda. So the thing is, and I can't even do this myself, okay? Hey, Timmy Kramer, 2000, thanks for stopping by, bro. For God's sakes, man, don't get married. No, don't get married, A woman says, she loves you. That doesn't mean anything. A woman wants to marry you. It doesn't mean anything. It's bad news, to be honest with you. It's not the kind of partnerships you're looking for, right? But stay calm, okay? When you get into this drama queen emotional situation, they're going to attack your credibility, your reputation, your standing, your commitments, your values. They're going to call them into question. And, like, you're not a real MGTOW. And the goal is to unsettle you emotionally. And it works. It works. So, of course, you want to stay calm. You want to stay neutral. You want to be non-reactive. And they're going to escalate. In other words, they're going to start finding more and more fault with you, more and more attacks on your reputation. And they're going to keep upping it until they can get you to respond emotionally. Honestly, think of it like, a fire. And you starve it of oxygen, which is, your emotional response to all of this stuff. So, as this stuff is going on in MGTOW, as groups of men are calling MGTOW into question, stay neutral, stay calm. Okay, don't react. Just starve the thing, okay, and continue doing the right thing. Sending a man to jail is not the worst thing in the world. It toughens him up. He has to learn new things. Okay? He has to learn how to get along with other men in a dangerous situation. And I want to share this with you because it's important. Some of the men, when they came in to jail, they were too emotional. They were too upset. They would want to talk about things like their girlfriend, their puppy dog, how upset they are to miss their mother. Now, there's nothing wrong with feeling these things, right? I'm sure everybody feels these things to some degree or not. But you see, that's the thing. Everybody feels these things. So for one man to not shut up and to keep complaining and to keep talking and to keep creating an emotional situation where the men don't want to go into this emotional state. It's bad for their health, okay? We would get guys like that. And in some cases, they would get warnings. Decent, polite warnings, It's like, cut this shit out. Everybody misses their girlfriend. Everybody misses their mother, or most of them, Most of you, they're all upset. But you're the one walking around making all the noise all the time. And even the other men would try to give some helpful advice. There's plenty of decent men, plenty of decent, smart men who, have some self-control. And they would say, look, do your own time, okay? Do your own time. You got your problems, keep them to yourself, go about your business, work on them. This isn't some gossip, emotional exchange situation, right? It's not a hen house. So essentially, you've got men here coming into MGTOW trying to turn MGTOW into a hen house. And that's not what it is. It's a work site. It's a job site. And we're rebuilding men who have been given bad plans, bad schematics on how to get along in a feminized world. Now, there's some advantages right there. Okay, this is your corporate job, right? Jordan Peterson could not stay in the universities. You understand this. Okay, so the man can't stay in this feminized situation. So it's like a deal with the devil, The man goes along to get along, but he betrays his basic masculinity. And as a result, he gets sick. As a result, he loses his motivation. So now he's just this machine, that goes through this work and gives the rewards to the women and hopes to get back that validation, okay? Now, I've met, 55, 60-year-old men who've been doing this their whole lives, and it destroys them. It kills them. Being that type of a nice guy is killing them. And some of you know some of these guys. Some of you have direct experience with some guys that are so damn nice that the condition of the world and the situation breaks their heart and breaks their spirit so severely that they just lay down and die. And don't say that you haven't, thought about these things and struggled with these things. Okay, you can say that. I myself have thought about these things and struggled with these things. Oh, the world is so unfair to good men. There is no place for a man like me. Bullshit. Okay? There is no place for me in this feminized world, in this ass-kissing world, in this let's look pretty world, in this let's find fault with somebody else so that we can raise ourselves up world. Okay? I don't care how much fault you find with somebody else. That still doesn't make you competent and good at it. Right? So I got people saying, how would dare this? How would dare that? And I'm like, well, go ahead and make your own content. Say whatever it is you want to say. And it's like, nah, I just want to find fault with others. That's a lot easier. And you still get the, trigger, peak emotional experience. You still get to group up and do your whole social thing. But you better not do that in wide open public. Okay. Don't get pulled in to the performance, okay? I recognized this a long time ago. This is worth recognizing, okay? These asinine demonstrations that is put on by the left, by the feminized left. They're spending like $20 million now to learn the syntax of men because they know they've lost the men, right? The men from all demographics, except for maybe highly college-educated men, are going over to the Republicans. Okay, I'm not making this about politics. I'm just saying that that's what's happening. Because they're ultra-feminized. There's no place for the man, right? No place for the young man. No place for the working man. And so they're spending like $20 million to start reaching out to, the working men, the men that they have lost for so long. And essentially, they're reaching out to MGTOW. Oh yes. We can't call it MGTOW. But yeah, MGTOW won the last election. I'm not kidding. We just can't call it MGTOW because we've got too many, misogynistic kind of trigger associations with the situation. But it's not. It's actually the spirit of man. It's actually the spirit of God manifesting through man. And this is how we transform the world. This is how we build our bridges and our electrical grids and our information systems and our medical science and all of it. Right? It is man. It is the spirit of man. Now, some of you guys are hearing this and you're saying, yeah, women too, Howard. It's like, no, not so much. Not so much. They don't want to do it. They want to have families. They want to have kids. That's really what they want to do, on this most basic kind of like biological level. And the men want to build. They want to fight. They want to overcome. And it's the same throughout the entire animal kingdom as well. Well, throughout most of it. You can't really talk in the absolutes. Single town bachelor. Thanks for stopping by. I was a nice guy. I'm done with that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll kill you, bro. Like, you've got some good people that even here in MGTOW. We're in MGTOW. They were so damn good, so damn nice, so much trying to find that middle ground, so much trying to compromise and get along, that it just broke their hearts, broke their spirits, and they died. And I don't want that. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you. And that's what they're pushing. Like, do they even have recess in school anymore? Do they even let the boys out of the classroom for 20 or 30 minutes to run around and get out some energy? Or is it all based on how well you can act like a woman? Because that's what it is. Yeah, like I was mentioning earlier, working with drug treatment, with addiction, and yeah, these guys just sit around and whine and complain like women nonstop. Everything is about them. And everybody else just becomes this like supporting character in their psychodrama bullshit. Right? So that's what's happening. MGTOW itself is being dragged in to this story of these psychodrama, emotional, subjective men who are completely out of whack, and their metabolism is out of whack as well, and their whole social outlook is out of whack as well, because they're prized for the degree to which they can act like females. That's their success in this world. So we've got groups of men, and their success in this world is going to be determined by how much they can act like a woman. But the thing is this will destroy them eventually. It turns them into some disgusting sycophant, no foundation, no strength, no steel in their back. Just this capitulating, craven character. They'll just do whatever they can, whatever they need to do to get whatever they want. And they're a victim. They're a slave to their wants and to the views of other people. Validation from the external world. Right? This is why it doesn't really kill a man to be, dragged down to the bottom, thrown into the gutter, thrown into jail. It's like, well, if you can pick yourself up from this, you should be okay. And you can. You can pick yourself up from stuff like that. But don't get pulled in, to this bullshit. Redirect the conversation, like what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? Instead of, oh, so-and-so is doing this, it's causing this and that problem. It's like, no, certain men go down a certain road. And when they do, if you associate with them, they drag you down that road as well. And no matter how strong you are, no matter how independent you are, if you're in a house with a crazy person who's screaming, who's breaking things, who's making a mess, who's making things dirty, who's not cleaning up, all of those things are going to affect you. Okay, it's like being around somebody with a virus. You're not tough enough. There's nothing that can protect you at that level. There's nothing that can protect us on an emotional, psychological, social level. Somebody comes in and starts screaming. We get unsettled. We're like, hey man, calm down. And what we're talking about here also is a masculine culture. We don't cry, we don't complain, we don't bitch, we don't moan, we don't find fault with other people. We fix our own problems, we pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, and if we want, we'll help another man. If we see another man, it looks like he's doing the right thing, he needs a hand, sure, I'll give him a hand. Damn right I will. Okay? But this emotional bullshit, so-and-so said such and such, and I don't like so-and-so, so-and-so isn't a real blah, blah, blah. Sickening. Utterly sickening. Okay, so it's a performance. It's not even, it doesn't even have to be true. It doesn't even have to work. It just has to set everything off course. That's all it has to do. You don't have to control a thing to destroy a thing. You don't have to know how to build a thing to destroy a thing. Okay. Lower your expectations of these men. Don't expect anything of them. No, these are like little boys that want to be taken care of, and they're just going to pitch a temper tantrum. That's all it is. Don't be expecting them to understand and to come up. Accept that they thrive in chaos. Okay, this is like a virus. Okay, if the area is dirty, if it's the viruses can thrive, the bacteria can grow. That's all it is. Now it seems like a direct personal attack, right? But they would attack you for anything, and they would attack anybody if they think they can get away with it, right? Like as long as they're not going to have to pay the price. So it's not even directed at you, right? So this whole idea of like, oh, we'll fix them, or oh, this will blow up in their faces. Forget about it. It doesn't even matter. It's already blown up in their face. They're already sitting in hell. They're already sitting in a pile of shit with a funny hat on. Doesn't mean you're supposed to go down there and join them or get into that argument. Don't expect them to understand, to rise up, and to become part of MGTOW. Don't expect that. All they're interested in doing is tearing it all down. So you stay focused on what it is you're doing, okay? And you make sure that what you're doing is the right and worthy thing for you to do. In other words, you're working on you. Fix your diet. Start incorporating more exercise. Start trying to foster a positive attitude towards life. See, that's the hard one for me, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to work really hard, and somebody's going to tell a dirty lie about me, and I'm going to lose everything. This seems to be my pattern, okay? But it's bullshit. And, another one of the patterns is this idea of like the universe is punishing me. There's no way that's possible. Well, socially, right, if I'm in a group of people that don't like me, and indeed you are, yeah, there is some unfairness. There is some small, petty backbiting. Talking about the white people here, right? You know what I'm saying. So, that's shifting. But it's the values. It's the culture that's under attack. It's the idea of things like being on time is a white person habit. Treating people with dignity and respect is a white person's habit. So it's this shifting of culture is what it is, down to this much more base, useless level. You need to stay up at a higher level where you can get things done, where you're focused on worthy goals and outcomes. If it's work or family that you're dealing with, keep the conversation, keep the interactions goal-oriented, and keep them short. What are we trying to do? Here's how we do it. Let's move on. Anything else is a temptation for things to go very south and to go very evil. Keep it short, keep it focused, keep it goal-oriented. This is the same thing with your content, okay? Keep your social interactions here within MGTOW. This is good advice, right? Because now you don't get pulled in to this interpersonal, who's a good MGTOW, who's a bad MGTOW, who's real MGTOW, who's not real MGTOW, okay? This is like a doctor getting in an interpersonal squabble with somebody. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you're a doctor. You have a slightly higher calling. Live up to it. At least that's how I feel. So what's the solution? Not what's the story. People start telling stories, It's like, and then I went out and there was this guy and he did blah, 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 blah. And it's like you're dealing with somebody with a rambling mind. You're not even dealing with somebody who's focused on a goal or a solution. Okay, so not solutions, not stories. So if you see somebody going into the story, you can pretty much just stop listening and start thinking about something else. And then when you're done, just go, oh yeah, whatever. Again, don't take this stuff personally, right? They're going to get upset. They're going to get offended. Right? Their emotional outbursts are about them, not the situation. Okay? It's their chaos. Don't let their instability change your peace of mind, your focus. So you're the pilot of the plane, okay? You're the captain of the ship. And you've got some crew members that are coming up to you and they're all crazy. Oh no, this is going to destroy us. Oh no, it's so-and-so said such and such, and I'm really upset. You going to let that affect how you fly the plane? Or are you going to say to them, look, I don't have time for this. I don't have the attention for this. Leave it be, cut the shit out. After we land the plane, do whatever the hell you want. But if you do this up here, this is going to be your last flight. What else can you do? You've got real responsibility. You as a man have real responsibility, at least unto yourself. You see, there's another fundamental difference, okay? Yeah, that's right. You have fundamental responsibility to yourself and even to the world around you. Not to the women around you, not to the children around you. You can make your world a better place. Let's make it simple. If you want a drink of water, you can get up and have a drink of water. Okay? If you want your area to be nicer, you can get up, you can clean your area. If you want to have more stuff, you can get up, you can do some work to earn yourself some resources and get yourself some more stuff. Okay? If you don't like the way the world is, if you don't like the fact that there's no way to cross the river, you can build a bridge. If you don't like the fact that it's cold outside, you can build a shelter. You have something. And generally, the women and the children don't have this. I consider this to be the spirit of man, a gift from God, a gift from creation itself. Like I don't even need to use the word God. Okay, this kind of like driving cellular force within you. And it's a masculine force. And it's down on, we can take an individual cell out of your body, just one, and we can tell if you're male or female. So every cell in your body is male. Right? The DNA. And you're going to turn your back on that? The men are going to turn their back on that to get along with the women? So that some pretty girl can say, yeah, hey, babe. You want to know what that means? That means absolutely nothing. You don't have anything. Oh, she's willing to go out with you. She likes you. That doesn't mean anything. Oh, she calls you when she has a problem. That doesn't mean anything. She says she loves you. That doesn't mean anything. She lets you have sex with her. That doesn't mean anything. She has your baby. That doesn't mean anything. Unless she's committed to you and respects you as a man and looks up to you as a man, you have nothing with her. Unless she gives you the role of man and she assumes the role of female, you have nothing with her. Stay private. Keep it guarded. Okay? It was like me trying to be popular, in a drug addiction treatment program, trying to help the guys. Hey, Dark Solidarity, thanks for stopping by, bro. Hope everything's going well. Chrome Dome Omega. That's a damn good point there. Chaos merchants around everywhere. Ooh, chaos merchants. I like that. Yeah, that's what they are. They're chaos merchants, and they sow chaos in order to acquire control. A lot of the conversations that you're having with everybody are about control. And they use guilt and obligation and fear and the rules merely to assert a kind of control over the situation. That's all it is. Like, it doesn't matter, if you're going to McDonald's or if you're going to Burger King. They don't really care either way. They just want to make sure that they're the one who gets to decide. Doesn't matter what song plays on the radio. It's about their control. And you understand that this makes them feel better. And further, you understand that the less control that they actually have, the more chaos within them, the more desperately they want it. So yeah, we're dealing with this kind of like a double feedback situation, right? Like the people who are complaining the most usually, have some sort of an extra mind. That's what's going on. So, I'm here, all alone. It's just me. So you're gonna have to allow me some leeway, some moving around and shit like that. That's what's going on. Could really use your help over there on Cash App. Even a little bit would come in handy. Here, I'll post a little something here into the chat while I roll a cigarette. Yeah, the attitude of a man and the price we pay. So I released that video about 5 days ago. Sorry. And actually it did pretty well. It got over 1,000 views. Now, I'll tell you, give your videos a few days. Like if you, put some work into a video and you release it, give it a few days, to get a little traction. There it is. The Cash App donation link, HGARE007. Right? That's a license to kill. Yes. A kill with words. So these divisions within MGTOW, they really started kicking in as I was kind of like leaving for my forced vacation from MGTOW. Late 2018 is getting really strong. It's an interesting dynamic, right? Like a guy fighting against other guys who are trying to get strong and healthy as guys. Like what a fucking betrayal that is, right? What kind of backstabbing bullshit is that? Like some little bitch sitting in the classroom. Like, no, we don't want to go out to recess. And you got that in MGTOW. So I could get all pissed off too. I could get all fucking angry. I could talk like my father used to talk. Actually, he was pretty cool. But not all the time. Sometimes he would get really pissed off. There was one time he really scared me, and I was older at this time. He was in his 80s already. And I was fucking, what was that? And I was in, I must have been like my late 20s or something. And we had a worker, a man over at the house, and he was installing fans, ceiling fans. And, these were big ceilings, these are big vaulted ceilings. And my father, he was a working man. He was used to being in charge of jobs. So he was there, basically trying to order the man around. And, because that's what he did. That's how he worked his whole life. And the man was like, hey, man, you got to cut this shit out. You got to get the old guy to stop bugging me, man. I'm not going to stand for it. So I go to my father and I'm like, Dad, man, you gotta stop it off. This is a hard-working man, Come on, Dad. And he got a little pissed off, man. He took one step at me, He was like, you want any trouble with me? And, for a second there, there's a world-class Olympic weightlifter ready to pick up pretty much anybody and throw them through a window. Now, but might indeed kill the man, to put out that much energy and exert that hard, but, he can do it. That's why you don't mess with working men, Like, oh, here's some old guy and he looks old and run down. It's like, no. He is old and he is run down, but he's got 40, 50 years of hard work, lifting up a hammer and slamming it down, right? So there's one or two good, bursts right in there. We might have to pay a hell of a price for those bursts of energy and power, but, there it is. All right, I just wanted to come on here and give you guys a few tips about dealing with the drama queens. And I'm not just talking about women, obviously. And, kind of like the danger that it represents for a man who's on a mission, who, has his horse online. And that even the issues that the drama queens are bringing up, they're not real issues. They're simply issues that are brought up in order to create chaos and division, which is where they thrive, kind of like a bacteria or a virus. But if you keep the area clean and you stay focused and you don't feed the fire and you don't get dragged into the performance and you recognize that it is a performance and recognize that whatever they're saying, there is a hidden agenda, okay? In other words, they're saying so-and-so said this and that's not real MGTOW, but the real agenda is just to screw over MGTOW. Okay, they don't really care about the issue. They'll glom onto anything. Okay, so I want you to kind of like be aware of that, and maybe consider adding your own voice into the mix, right? Because that's what this chaos, this drama, queen behavior is attempting to do. It's simply trying to shut down the focus of MGTOW. The idea that here is masculine virtue, here is proper masculine behavior, and here is the respect for it, and here are the rewards that follow from it, and here are some of the damages that we would have to pay for neglecting it. I just want to make these things clear so that the men have like a clear roadmap. Stay committed. Stay strong to your principles, to your values. The only thing that you want out of this life is health and strength. And you'll get the rest of it. You know what I mean? You can have 1,000 problems in life, but if your health goes sideways, you've only got one problem. Okay? And I'm kind of talking about the nice guys, even the nice guys that were in MGTOW. So if your health goes sideways, you've only got one problem in life. Okay? So make sure that that's your priority. Don't let yourself get stressed out. Don't let yourself get emotionally upset about the chaos and the drama queens, because that, destroys your your immune system. It shuts you down. So we could talk about a lot of things, but I just wanted to bring this one up because I'm getting a lot of shit. Or rather, no, I went into like a MGTOW live stream because I'll do that. I'll just type up MGTOW and say, is anybody live? And I'll go there and I'll try to talk to the man. And a lot of backbiting, a lot of posturing, a lot of, you said this and you said that, and this isn't right, and that isn't right. And it's like, I only do this and I only do that. It's like, who are you performing for? Well, anyway, don't be a performer. You know what I mean? Do what you believe is important and valid and worthy, and stick to it. Stop eating the processed foods. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to tell you what to do. I don't even want it to sound like I'm telling you what to do. I'm saying that this is the situation. This is the environment that we're in. We're in a feminized, gynocentric world where men are punished for behaving like men and men are rewarded for behaving like women. And it's even social validation. Okay? And I'm saying that if you go down that road, if you buy into that bullshit, you're betraying your own spirit, your own nature, your own health, your own well-being, your own psychological strength. And this is an objective world where reality exists. It's not your truth or my truth. It's the truth. Okay? It's not subjective. It's not all about our feelings. Okay? You pick up a ball, I pick up a Nerf ball, I throw it at your face. Okay? That ball is real. That ball will hit the face. Now, how you feel about that, that's up to you. That's subjective. You can be like, yeah, F you, Howard, and whip it right back. Or you could be like, why did Howard do that to me? Why? But the reality of the ball existing is real. And we're losing sight of that. Your life is real. Your needs are real. Your physical strength is real. Your ideas, well, they came from someplace. They came from somewhere. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you on that. Some of your ideas come from being triggered. People could spend their whole lives just being triggered from one stupid idea that has nothing to do with them and their lives to another. Don't let that happen. Get in touch with yourself, figure out what you care about, and then stay true to that, and then try to build that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm saying that we're in this situation, and I think that type of behavior might serve you well. And I see a lot of floundering, especially with the young men. And I see this cultural preference to behave as if, it's a completely feminized world and all of our subjective feelings matter. When they don't, they only matter to us. It's only this, internal psychological gain. And sometimes you can get somebody else to join in on it. That's all it is. It's not even real. Even if all of the people join in on it, it's still not actually real. So stick to what's real. Your health, your environment, your finances, your relationships. And you can recognize who's crazy and who's not. And the minute you recognize it, don't play along. Don't have any expectations. Like I said, I'm trying to help the people dealing with addiction, and it sure doesn't look like they want to be helped. Right? I don't know what to do. The truth, talk to them. No, that doesn't work. Replace their old habits with good habits. Teach them how to earn some money. They'll just go out and spend their money on their old bad habits. So it's a tricky situation. I see it degrading. And I don't think that it has to degrade inside of your personal life. All right. If you find this stuff valuable, if you think that I should come on here and do some regular live streams, please click on my Cash App donation link. Help me out over there on Cash App so that I can just get by into the future. You know what I mean? And if not, right, then I'll keep spinning my wheels for a while. right? Like I want to be effective, is the whole thing, but I need to stay alive. And I'm not going to go into a whole tirade here, but that's motivated self-interest, and that's a wonderful thing. And motivated self-interest, capitalism, has lifted more people out of poverty and suffering than any other force in the world. And I'm not talking about spiritual, kind of things. Those are different. No, I'm talking about capitalism itself, which is motivated self-interest. So anybody who talks that down, anybody who says, no, you shouldn't get paid, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. That person is actually anti-life. These people who think that they should be taken care of and that their feelings are primary and that they can be any sex that they want to be, this is actually an anti-life philosophy. It's actually a death cult. I'm not kidding, all right? Because the opposite of that idea is actually a celebration of life. Okay, you can't turn away from it. You gotta, okay, I'm not telling you what to do. These are the things that I have, had described to me, okay? And I believe that they're real, okay? I believe that reality exists. I believe that people have motivated self-interest, that which is best for them, okay? And I don't think that it's at odds and at a parity with what's good for me or for someone else. In other words, you can do what's good for you, I can do what's good for me, and we can both benefit. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game, not in that capacity. That's not how everybody sees it. All right? You're in conflict. You're in conflict for the world, for the future. And it seems like the right way doesn't always win. But the right way has its own rewards. And the wrong way, even if you do temporarily win, has its own punishments. All right, I'm going to leave it at that for now. I think I may have come on here a little too early, or maybe I should have advertised more. I haven't been making much content lately. But, I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on this, the idea of the divisions within MGTOW and how it's dragging down the main focus of MGTOW. Okay, so not just, what do you think about, all this infighting and all this bullshit, but what do you think it's doing to the message of MGTOW? Because, that's more what I care about. All right, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, as I've said. And join me again, out there, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW. Have a great day.